Brad, let me ask you a question. Is my mic muted?
We might have just done 5 minutes of a podcast, and then I realized that the audio was muted
It's
on
okay.
my end.
All I
Anyways,
did was complain about my wife.
to catch the readers up at home or listeners up at home, I thought yesterday was all Thursday. I ended the podcast yesterday saying it was Thursday, and then my wife got home and reminded me that it was actually Wednesday. And
Brad gave me more credit than he would normally, and will never again, because he said you probably caught this, and I'm like, nope, I didn't catch it.
yeah, it's a good thing that we're not using that part of the segment. Paul, but you're going to appreciate this. So this morning, we're looking at schools for my daughter for next year, and we went and did the school thing, and so it was essentially like a condensed version of a day in the life of your child in
Yes.
first grade. And they went to the art class, and they were talking about art stuff, and they said, "Hey, anyone want to come up to the board and draw anything?" And I got a little nervous that they were going to call on me.
We're thinking about something, I don't know, four-legged animal.
Anyone want to draw a pig on the board? And
Something easily identifiable, like a snout.
now I remember why I hated school. So,
Oh, boy.
yep. So I don't know. I haven't. This is honestly. I just turned on a computer. My computer upstairs isn't even home. My dog is very confused about why I was not home in the morning, and there's it's a little bit slower of a day than yesterday, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I'm starting to kind of go back and re-examine things, like from the Google event, especially. I did return my iPhone yesterday.
Congrats.
Yeah, I assume that met the letter of the agreement. I guess I'll find out. Otherwise, that would have been a $1,000 mistake. But someone had written me and asked me whether I was going to keep it. And I'm gonna. I have a lot of stuff to look at. I did order a Pixel 3 in addition to the Pixel 3 XL, so obviously I'm going to return one of those. I figured it would make sense just to look at both. Why not? I'll be looking at the OnePlus 6T when that comes out at the end of the month. And then the iPhone XR is coming out late this month as well. And I want to take a look at that. And
That'll be an interesting one.
Yeah. I mean, look, unless it's a complete cluster, I'm probably going to end up on the Google Pixel. Actually, it was a complete cluster last year.
I was going to say, that didn't stop you for a year.
Well, I mean, the abuse can only continue for so long, but
well, at least we know you can be abused for a year without leaving us.
Well, every time I take pictures, like on this last trip, and it's sort of why I put up with the other stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, I had a thought to tell you, but then I don't know. Actually, you're probably going to get the iPhone XR, review it, and then I'll be like, "Why did I buy the XS?" And then
I would never doubt that decision. The phone you bought is awesome, and you'll hold on to it for a while. It's
2 years or so. I put a nice blue leather case on it with the gold.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It looks. I'm not a huge fan, which sounds kind of awkward. Of like the back, it's fine, but like the back coloring is a little odd. It's a little like creamish, whatever. If you put it against anything white, you're like, that doesn't look so good. But when you slap this bad boy in a blue leather case, it looks nice. Like I'm really, really happy with the way this thing looks. So
right, good.
Anyways, that is that. Speaking of hardware, Microsoft becomes a top 5 PC maker in the U.S., which shouldn't be all that surprising, I guess, because they're now. I mean, if you would have said this right after maybe like the Surface Pro 4 launch, when they're only selling a tablet, one thing, but now they've got what? They've got 2 laptops, they've got a small tablet, they've got a large tablet, they've got a desktop.
Right. I mean, I think the only reason it's surprising is they never showed up in the list before, and you don't ever get a list of here's 6 through 10.
Right.
So if they were kind of going up and down a little bit, and they kind of eked into this position, there was no indication that it was coming. So it was a little surprising. This is something I do need to look at, because I saw this in sort of headline form. This was Gartner only. It was U.S. only. Obviously, it's not worldwide. The real story here, in a way, is that PC sales actually fell in the previous quarter. So there was this kind of mini celebration mid-year. It was like, hey, woohoo! It was like up 1.9%. That may prove to be a one-quarter blip. So I wouldn't write off the year yet. Obviously, the fourth quarter is going to be the big year,
Right.
the big quarter rather, and we'll see. But that's one thing that's on my plate for today. I want to figure out the PC market share thing, see what that looks like.
Yeah. The other thing that just popped into my head is there's supposed to be an Apple event this month, right? For the for the iPads and probably their new laptops or updated laptops and stuff.
Yep.
I honestly thought that the invites would have gone out this week because, well, I guess
right.
Maybe they could go out next week. I mean, typically Apple sends that stuff a week in advance, and so they didn't come out. So maybe it's the week of the 21st. Or maybe
Doesn't matter. I'm not going to be invited anyway, so no reason to worry about travel plans on that one.
Well, I'm just more trying to time it up so that the thing is going to happen when you're on a plane because that's typically par for the course, right?
Right. So I'm flying home actually, I think it's next Thursday. Yeah. So I don't think they're going to do it next
So if they send the invites out today, it'll be right on time.
Right on schedule. Yeah. Dear Apple, here's the day I'm flying. Please have an event on a Thursday.
But they typically do Tuesdays, I think is their thing.
Yeah. I don't even remember, but yeah. I'm curious about I don't care about the iPad, but I'm very curious about the MacBook and the expected, MacBook Air replacement. I'm kind of curious what that looks like.
I bet it's going to look a lot like a Surface laptop. Actually, maybe not. It might even look better because I imagine that on Apple's agenda is to remove bezels because that's what supposedly the next iPads are going to be like. I bet that's what kind of is the next thing for their laptops. I mean, that's where they're headed, right?
Yeah, and I think the design language they have on the MacBook today or the MacBook Pro is a good indication of where it's going to go. And you're right, yeah, small bezels are always appreciated. Smaller device, bigger screen. Everyone's doing it.
Yeah, except for Google, except for the Pixel, because this is what killed me about the Pixel is it was maybe 8-10 months before this. They acquired all those people from HTC, and everyone's like, their design is going to get better because they're getting these HTC engineers and experts in there. And then they come out with a phone that not only has a gigantic notch, somebody called it a bathtub, which I kind of like that.
That's good.
It's a bathtub. And then if you get the smaller version, it has a sizable bezel up top and at the bottom, which is weird.
Yeah, it's right. I just wrote this thing about Google yesterday where last year they were very upfront that they were working to be at the epicenter of AI plus hardware plus software. This year, they're repeating that theme, of course, because that's their big thing. And by the way, there's a second chip now in the Pixel phones that's unique to those devices. Last year, they introduced that Pixel Visual Core chip, which is part of the reason the photography stuff is so good. This year, that continues or is improved. It's not clear, but it at least continues. And then there's a new security chip inside called Titan M, which is based on a security chip they developed for the data center. Anyway, that's kind of interesting on one level, but they talked a lot about design. And if you look at some of their home products, like the Home Mini is a good example of this kind of nice fabric colors. It's something that you can kind of place in your home and it won't look terrible. The new Google Home Hub is like that too. Nice soft colors and rounded shapes, natural looking, et cetera. And then you get the Pixels like this crazy outlier, not just within their own products, but within the field of like flagship smartphones this year. I mean, the iPhone is a work of art. The phone you have should be in a museum, and maybe it will be at some point. This Google thing is like a joke, so I don't know what to make of that. And I'm kind of hedging my bet here. I mean, one of the reasons I got the smaller Pixel is I almost got it just anyway. I talked about how big that thing was and how screwed up that design is. It's now clear how screwed up that design is because the way that Google implements like notch support in Android is they split the status bar at the top, so there's half of it on each side. And if you look at a phone with a small notch, like the OnePlus 6, it actually looks very natural. It's nice. That thing is so tall that the status bar comes down and there's actually a blank area above the status bar. So the entire point of a notch, right, is that you want to have this edge-to-edge display.
Yep.
That's just... No app is ever going to use that space, ever. It's literally just wasted space. You may as well just have a bezel up there. I don't understand the thinking behind this at all. Like, this is a really bad design. And it's not like, I complain about the iPhone notch being kind of wide, which it is, but Apple puts a lot of stuff up there, right? It's not
Yeah.
just the front cameras and the the flash and whatever else. It's sensors and extra cameras for the Face ID, and it's an array of stuff. And yes, my cat just walked by. The the Pixel doesn't have any of that stuff. I mean, it's two cameras. I mean, big deal, but I don't. I just don't. It looks like a giant empty space to me. I don't understand it.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it's interesting because they had all this time, and they make the OS. It's not like they couldn't do this. They just didn't, and so
I just put on the developer mode on my Pixel 2 XL because one of the things you can do is enable like a software notch, and I wanted to see what it would be like to you have a really big notch because there's different choices.
Yeah,
and I guess the choices have changed because they have the three choices that are available are crazy. There's one is a corner notch. So you can have like a notch up in the corner, which I've never seen on any phone. It looks terrible. You can have a tall notch, which is not like particularly wide, but it's just like thin and tall.
Yeah.
And if it was double wide, it would almost look like the Pixel 3 notch. And then there's the one called a double notch, and I thought that must be the Pixel notch. That one actually puts a notch on the top and on the bottom. I was
God.
They don't have a notch like a software notch. It looks like any notch. None of the notches like match a notch I've ever seen. I don't get these guys.
No nachos for you.
Mm-hmm.
I had something else I was going to poke fun about, but then I totally got lost in your nacho talk, and then I started getting hungry because I haven't eaten lunch. And I was thinking, man, nachos for lunch actually sounds kind of good, but that's, here we are.
Sure.
There was something. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. I contemplated getting the iPhone Max, whatever the hell the big one's called.
Yeah, the XS Max. Yeah.
Extremely happy I did it because this display is almost too big.
Right. I think that thing's right sized.
I think
there's something special about it.
I actually had to turn on accessibility mode where you can swipe down.
Yeah,
that
to
way,
bring the top of the screen.
Yeah, that way to get to this whatever be able to adjust the screen
Control
brightness
center.
and all that. Yep. I can never remember what they're calling it in this edition. And that actually made a huge difference. I was trying to, because I changed the screen brightness all the time, mostly at night, which leads me to the other thing. I found this out last night, Paul. Last night we got some bad storms. If they haven't hit your house yet,
Yeah,
they will soon.
it's raining so hard I can hear it in the house.
Yeah, and apparently we lost power from like 1 a.m. to like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. or something, whatever, a substantial amount of time. What I learned is that if your phone is on a wireless charger and the power comes back on and your phone is still on it, it will not actually start charging. You have to take it off and put it back on. That is my guess because when I woke up this morning, my phone was only about 30% charged, and I'm guessing that the power went out while it was on the charger. The power came back on, obviously, when we.
So there's something about the placing of it on. Huh.
Yeah, it might just be the
seem
charger,
right
but
to me, but that's weird. I've never experienced that.
Yeah, it's the first time I've only had this phone a week or whatever. That's the only thing I can think of because as soon as I picked it back up, like even just moving it just a slight bit, it tripped and then it started charging again. So,
I don't know.
Yep.
Watch that. So you have what did you buy? What do you have for a wireless charger?
I got two different kinds because screw consistency in my household. One of them is a Belkin charger, and the other one's made by Anker.
Tell me over time if that gets hot.
So
wirelessly charging.
I was worried about that, and I specifically, and maybe this is just ignorance or whatever, I specifically did not buy the fast charging ones. These are just your slow whatever.
Because you leave it there overnight, who cares?
Yeah, right. It's on next to my bedside. I put it down, and the other charger is next to my computer, which I'm sitting at all day. So it's not like I need rapid charging in 15 minutes. But I was worried about that the heat, especially going through the leather case, and especially because my neighbor's house just burned down.
Yes, right. You don't want to be a story. A man's iPhone exploded overnight.
Actually, I would be very happy if my iPhone explodes and takes down my house. Tim Cook will get a little phone call and be like, "Hey, remember how you built a spaceship? Why don't you build a satellite office on my property?"
Right.
So, you got anything else for today, Mr. Thrat?
No, unless there's anything pressing. When I get off this call, I'm going to wipe this computer out. I've had like bizarre problems with performance and whatever, and I'm just going to clean it and see what happens. But No, nothing dramatic. How about you?
No, I don't think so. I'm basically trying to catch up now because I forgot about this thing with my wife and kid this morning.
Because you forgot that weeks have 7 days.
Words hurt. The only other thing I have to bring up, I think, is that people watching, if Paul is in HD again, which I believe he is, it's a little hard to tell from here. I think, honestly, the issue was that you were just running Skype 7. That's the only thing that's changed.
Yeah, that's true.
And so,
Is
Paul,
there
what
a
I'm
way
trying to say
to-
here is that this is your fault.
Because I stuck with something that works well.
Well, did it?
Well, okay. It's funny, when you go into settings, like the video quality of the thing I see in settings is much nicer than what I see out in the,
Yeah.
the normal view. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. So,
All right.
well, folks, unlike yesterday when I said tomorrow's show is a live show, tomorrow's show actually is a live show. So you can tune in at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find that at threat.com/live or on YouTube. And have yourselves a wonderful day, and we'll catch you tomorrow.